Breaking the Mask of Depression with your host, Diva with Depression.
Instead of watching cartoons, millions of children around the world are cooking dinner and running homes. Thank you for tuning in to Breaking the Mask of Depression with me, your host, the Diva with Depression. I hope you guys are doing well today. I'm still in recovery mode and adjustment mode, but I'm here. It's Women's History Month, and today's guest is an awesome woman. Please welcome artist, author, poet, Akusua. I know that I'm going to mess it up, so you say it.
That's all good. Akusua Akoto.
Akusua Akoto.
Yeah.
Thank you for hanging out with me today, and forgive me. I know you keep telling me that it's the right way to say it, but I knew I was going to mess it up.
It's okay.
Thank you. We finally got it together. Thank you. We've been trying this for what, 2 months now?
Yeah, it has been a while. Yeah, it has. I'm definitely glad to be here. Man, this has been a year. This has been a year. But this is much needed, I think.
Yes.
Who wants to start first? You or me?
You start first. Tell us a little bit about yourself. That's so cliche, but I think it's important for your story to tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay. My name is Akusua Akoto. I'm a Denver native, currently been living in, let me take that back. I'm a Dallas native. Currently living in Denver for the last almost 10 years. Before that, New Mexico. I consider myself a few things besides a writer, a facilitator. I'm spoken word artist, event planner, and returning to my life also as a blogger. So my days of MySpace, definitely if you remember those days. But I've been working on a few things about a couple of manuscripts, both poetry and memoir type. The first manuscript that I actually started working on when I was still in college in New Mexico. And it focuses on the 3 generations of the Black women in my family, as myself, my mother, and my grandmother, as we have had to relate to things such as abuse, mental health struggles, mother-daughter relationships that weren't so great, poverty and resiliency. And so I've been holding on to this manuscript, just working on it by piecemeal for quite some time. I'm currently also completing my second writing fellowship.
Wow!
So thank you. I'm very excited about that. Very humble that I was even given that opportunity to be able to do something like that. Working on it's not really a poetry manuscript. I guess it would be more of like an art / memoir manuscript that focuses on disability and how, particularly my multiple disabilities, chronic conditions, as it intersected with pop culture and Black culture. So that should be very interesting. That's been ongoing this year. And I did, like in 2019, I did a brief conversation where I was invited to speak as interview with the New York Times about my past experiences with homelessness. And so that was very interesting. Never thought I'd get that opportunity. You know, I was very grateful. So yay.
That's what I was,
That's just
I guess that leads me into the next thing, because I was going to say that you have an incredible story. And when you reached out to me, which I'm so grateful for you reaching out to me, and you know, your words were, um, I I found your story, and I didn't, you know, I've never, the first time that I saw someone talking about parentification, um, you know, that was a similar story to mine. And yeah, you're right, because of course, Black people don't talk about those things. And um, I don't talk about, I don't go into detail about the situation with my mother, because part of it is embarrassing, part of it is guilt, because I don't, still don't like to hurt her feelings. Um, so, like I said, a little, as little or as much as you want to share about what um, the relationship with your mother, and what you went through with your mom.
sure, absolutely. So my relationship with my mother, I would say, was pretty good up until the age of 10. Um, Before then, I was, you know, just very naive um, little girl living in the projects, but still being spoiled by both my mother and grandmother. I'm definitely, like, I always like to joke, I'm definitely going to always be a fat kid from the 80s. Like, nobody's taking that away from me. But up until the age of 10, and it was always myself and her. I lost my father to lung cancer back in 81. But it was always really just myself and her and my grandmother up until the age of 10. And that was when everything just went, really went to shit. So here's what I remember. My mother and myself, we were living in a brand new 3-bedroom, 2-bath home. Um, and I remember being asleep on the couch, and my mother was in her bedroom. And all of a sudden she started screaming. She screamed, she was screaming my father's name. My father's from Ghana, and his name is Nana. Um, and she just kept screaming his name. I was like, what? What is going on here? And from then, what I didn't realize at 10 years old was she was having a psychotic break. She was very much having a psychotic break, and this was not her first. Um, but for her, you know, it was very, she was in a very dangerous place. And luckily, I had enough awareness to, you know, call my grandmother, who thankfully was, you know, at home, and we were able to get my mother hospitalized. But from 10 years old until when I left and decided that, you know, for my own survival, needed to cut ties. Our relationship was pretty much, I had to be the parent. I had to fulfill some sort of impossible role for her. And yeah, you're right. We don't talk about this in the Black community. And I'm also an only child, so it wasn't like I had siblings to, you know, share that load or whatever.
Right.
But yeah, that was just, there's so many things that go into having to be a parent to your own parent.
Right.
It's almost like you're doing cosplay for many years, and you're doing it terribly. It's like, I don't know what I'm doing here.
Right.
But yeah, that moment, and that moment of parentification is like, because there are going to be moments where, okay, I have to be her mother, or I have to be her best friend, or I have to be like, someone that's always giving her money, always helping her to pay the bills. And it's like your role is constantly changing, and you're not really sure who you should be.
And then you get to school, and it's like you have to be at a child's place. Like, what?
Yeah. I could be in a child's place, but you have to be in your adult place. Like, I didn't ask for this, okay? No, but like seriously, like you took me out of child's place, like, remember? Like, but yeah, I still struggle with that. I think even like many years after being in contact, I had no contact with my entire family, and so the issues of having to be the parent, it doesn't really leave you, I don't think.
Not at all. Not at all. And you're constantly mourning your childhood.
Mm-hmm.
Constantly mourning your childhood.
Oh, absolutely.
Because there's no way to get it back, and you sort of lose the ability to have joy. That's another thing that you don't talk about. It's like, well, why can't you just let loose? Why can't you just have fun? Why can't you just, well, because I never learned how to do it. Like I was always in survival mode. I was always in adult mode. I was always, on guard. That you don't just learn that at 50, So
yeah,
it's just a constant, it's a trauma, thing. So, so I was going to ask you that, like, how did you function in school, as I know you said at 10, mine started at around 6 or 7, and I had a younger brother. So I took care of myself and my younger brother. My oldest brother is 5 years older than me. So I would be in class, and if my younger brother got in trouble, they'd call me instead of my mother. Mm-hmm. So how did you function throughout your younger school years?
Well, when my mother had her second psychotic break, I was in elementary school. And what I remember, because also in my family, they don't believe in mental illness. So it's like, all right. But I do remember going back to school immediately. And I have this memory of being like, it was like during recess. And I remember, I don't think there were too many kids. Maybe there were, but I was probably on the swings, and I was just staring at the traffic, at the cars just passing. But it was a particularly weird moment because it felt like I was out of my body watching something. And I suppose that was, me disassociating. I definitely was, when the second psych break happened, but it was like, okay, who do I talk about this to? You know,
Right.
and a lot of it for myself, I've always had a dysfunctional relationship with school because on one end, it was so strict. And it was like, okay, you are expected to be in class from this time to this time. And you know where you're going to sit, you know what books you're going to need, and everything is just in its place. And so for someone like myself who was also very much a perfectionist and loved her little gold stars and being the smartest in the room, uh, I believed in that. I thought that was, it served kind of its own purpose in a way, but in a lot of ways it didn't. Uh, my relationship with school and was very, and by the time I was in middle school, that was when a lot of my own severe depression, I had crippling anxiety about going to school every morning. Um, I just couldn't handle it. And so, how, and this was like early 90s, 93, 94. And so, you know how a lot of people today talk about, oh, it gets better, just tell someone, yada, yada. And it's like, okay, that's great and that's important. But what if you tell someone, say your mother, you even show her your first suicide note when you're in middle school, and she mocks you because of your misspelled words. My mother was an English major. Okay, that was what she was fucking focused on. It's like, bitch, are you serious?
Okay. Okay.
It was like, I told my therapist this years ago. I was like, yeah, this is probably why I became an English major at one point.
Isn't that something?
Huh?
That's something like crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. It was just like, okay, yeah, I guess I won't be talking to you again, mom. But
Wow.
it's just like the old argument of just tell someone. It's like, okay, what if you tell someone and you're not received
Taken. Right.
very well?
Right.
Then what do you do? And so, yeah, I mean, I have my own beliefs, my own arguments about the whole it gets better and just tell someone sort of, you know, yeah.
We can do a whole show about that.
Oh yeah. I got plenty to say. Yeah.
So when you say that you went in middle school and high school, I guess,
Mhm.
when did you receive a formal diagnosis about yourself?
Not until I was in taking some community college classes, this time in Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Wow.
So from middle school, I was not allowed to be seen or diagnosed all the way until in my late 20s
Wow.
when I was, and by, yeah, definitely my late 20s when I was living in New Mexico.
Wow.
So that's like well over a decade of just like not being
Wow.
seen, not really knowing, not, like, okay, who am I supposed to go to? I don't trust anyone.
Same here.
I'm fearful. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. A wing and a prayer. A
Mm-hmm.
wing and a prayer. I used to see the child psychologist in elementary school, but that was because I didn't talk. And that was it. It was never, well, why, or what's going on at home. It was just, she didn't talk. So, let's figure what
Mm.
is it, you know? And then at 16, the doctor said, "Oh, you have an ulcer. I think you're depressed." But, you know, it can't be the perfect mom that's sitting there all dressed well and everything. It can't be her,
Yeah.
can't be her dad, the
Yeah.
perfect policeman, like can't be that. It wasn't
Right.
until, uh, in my 20s, that they said, and then after I had my first child at 25, that it was like, okay, well, you're depressed, you have depression. You probably had it all your
Hmm.
life.
Yeah.
Okay. And the same thing. My mom found my journal and talking about her, and she made fun of me.
Oh, yeah. That was, yeah. And I
Yeah.
feel like a lot of parents don't realize how destructive that is, and it's like as a child, what do you do when you're, especially when you've already seen that darkness in your parent, whether they intended to show that to you or not. I always say intentions don't always matter. It's impact. But I as a kid, yeah, I definitely had my little journal, and what that taught me even back then was I have to keep this away from her
Yeah.
because you know clearly that having it just lying around in my bedroom on my dresser is not going to work. So
Right. And I'm gonna say this because I have this written down, but I think that I want to have you back, and I'm gonna say this out loud. The homeless situation, unhoused.
mhm.
I don't know the correct word anymore. I want to have you back to discuss that totally, a whole separate thing, because I believe that that's, I work on a helpline every day, and that's a whole epidemic. And I was
Mm.
just watching a video, and it'll bring tears to my eyes, so we're not even going to talk about it. But I just believe that is a whole nother epidemic as far as mental health
Mhm.
and the homeless situation. So if you
Mhm.
are willing, I would love to have you back on to just discuss that,
Oh,
and
perfect.
what
Absolutely.
homeless people and mental health. So we're not going to talk about that. What I would
Absolutely.
like to talk about is, oh, you see, I'm crying already. You
It's
said
okay.
that
It's okay.
your grandmother, um, how was your grandmother instrumental in helping or hurting your situation growing up?
uh my grandmother was definitely a product of her time, being the eldest. She was born in 1920. So, being the eldest of 12 or 14 kids, she was also parentified as well. And, just her beliefs. I mean, she was a very religious person. And she did, she was that kind of woman, very old fashioned, very old school. She did everything herself. I've long believed that my grandmother, even though she would, strangle me if I said this, but I've long believed that she may have suffered greatly from depression and not known it, not wanting to, again, um, beautiful Texas girl from the 1920s. What depression? Unless the Great Depression, but um, she was very religious, and the part that, in terms of helping or hurting, was like looking back. And I'm really not trying. I'm not interested in trying to shame her for this, but looking back, she did what a lot of people did and still do. They use religion kind of like a tool, to either, or like this wall to separate themselves from everyone else. And she was also a very controlling person. And so the fact that I think my grandmother was always, oh dear, uh, police cars again. Sorry. My grandmother was a very controlling person. And she was always resentful. I could always, tell she was very resentful about with my mother, because my mother could not be controlled. She could not be controlled at all. And, my grandmother being very religious, she did not believe in the existence of mental illness. So she also didn't believe in the need to really do anything. And so my mother, being who she is, or being who she was, and then later myself showing those same, dreadful things, it was almost like I think in a lot of ways she took it as an insult to her. Like, okay, we're becoming sick. How dare you?
How
It's
dare
like,
you?
I'm sorry.
You're embarrassing me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. So so do you consider your, like I danced throughout school. I've always done writing. I've always been a writer.
Mm-hmm.
Later on crafting. I've been cooking since I was 7,
Mm-hmm.
baking now and still cooking. So your poetry, your art, those are your outlets.
Oh,
Do
absolutely.
you feel like the art helps you with your depression? So do you still, I should ask, you know, in finality, final, um, do you still live with the mental illnesses, taking medication, therapy, all of those things now?
Yeah, I still do. I mean, it's really, I feel like I've learned a great deal about how to care for myself, um, in the various, like, disabilities slash chronic conditions, because I'm the only one that has to maintain my health. And so it's been incredibly challenging. And my art, my writing, my poetry projects, I'm always, I don't have a shortage of ideas. It's more of like, okay, a shortage of everything else. But that has definitely, like when you were talking about the dancing and the, I you know what I feel like I've when I was a kid I used to dance so much in my room, and that definitely kept me going. I didn't start taking dance classes until I was a student, uh, and it was just, excuse me, it was, I almost forgot the name of the class, but I was never a major, and it was never a dance major, but that class just totally just saved saved my life, and it was a night class, and it was just one of the few very, very things that just kept me going. And so, I mean, I truly believe in art, whether it's literary, whether it's sculpting, whether it's, I truly believe in it. I think as long as the art is honest and the artist is honest as best as they can, and they are courageous as best as they can, I think art has the way of saying things, of creating some language that in other ways it can't. In other ways, the artist can't express. So
it's the language of the soul, across the board, music and you know, it says what we can't say out loud,
yes.
like reading like bell hooks, and because I was reading her the other day, that's why I say I heard her name came up first, and you just read stuff and just brings tears to your eyes because you can feel, what they're going through at the time, and it just leaps off the page. So yeah, and I remember I was inpatient and they sent us to art therapy, and I can't draw to save my life. And they told us to draw how we feel. And I drew a stick figure and I scribbled, like in black crayon because it was right after my sister passed away. And, they show your work. And so I held up the page and she was like, well, that's how you feel. That's art. And I was like, okay, whatever you say, but she's like, that's how you feel. That's what, and I understood. She's like, we understand that's how you felt. And I was like, okay, I get it, Um, but first of all, let me say that again, that I am so honored that you reached out to me. I still have your email. I sent it to my daughters because it really touched me. It really, really did touch me. Your story touched me. You see, I'm crying. I cry. I cry for everything, but I did like really. So I am going to have you back on. And don't you cry. Don't you cry because
Thank
then I'll
you.
cry again.
Thank you.
And I'm so glad we finally got
Thank
it
you.
figured out. So tell us where we can read your work, follow you, and if you have a poem that I can share on the website or under the podcast, if you have something to share, I can put that in the show notes so the audience can read your work. But just tell us where we can follow you so everybody can witness your greatness.
Sure. Well, I would say that the best way to contact me for now, because I would say the best way to contact me is by email. And that is lowercase AKUSUA period, lowercase AKOTO 80 @gmail.com. And email tends to be the one method I go to first. I do have a LinkedIn. I do have a Substack that I should definitely spend more time working on. I have some things that I did publish back in maybe during the pandemic times that will definitely go and that I definitely enjoy it when I still read it. Just 3 pieces. Working on some events for the summer. If you're in the Denver area and you want to read, definitely hit me up because I'm going to make these reading events ongoing, very community based as always. That's what keeps us alive. So yeah, email is the best way to contact me.
Okay, well, you let me know because there is a creator and she is in Denver. and she's always going to different events in Denver. And actually, I think that she does have a event page
Okay.
that's one of her side hustles is a Denver event page. So I will, and she's on Substack. So I'll get you
Okay.
that
Perfect.
information.
Perfect.
But you take care of yourself. Please
Thank you.
stay in
Thank you for
touch.
everything.
Oh, of course, of course. And like I said, I'm going to have you back for the second episode, and
Yes.
we will keep in touch. And
Thank
thank
you.
you
Thanks
again
for
for
everything.
being here. I'm so honored that we finally got it together.
Yes, me too. Thank you.
You're welcome. Guys, stay well, stay peaceful, and make sure that you just keep your head on because it's crazy out there, and keep it together.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes realize that